Ahoy there, landlubbers. It be I, Mr. Aaron. Or today ye can be calling me Captain Volnar. And I be the most well-read pirate that ever savaged the seven seas. Arr, arr, arr. I be broadcasting to ya from the reading deck of me dread man o' war, the SS Biblioteca. Arr. And with me here is me faithful parrot, Polly.
What? Polly want a story. Polly want a story.
Arr, as do I, Polly, and as do the kids at home, I be thinking. So what do you say, Polly? Shall we spin 'em a yarn?
What? Shiver me pages. Shiver me pages.
Excellent, Polly. So, shall we show 'em the book that we're gonna be reading today?
What?
We're gonna be reading Pirate School, The Curse of Snake Island. Har, 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 har. Oh, and what a fabulous yarn it be, too. So, let's begin, shall we? Arr, arr, arr. Chapter 1. Slippery Stink. I covered my nose as I looked into the tank on the main deck of our ship, the Sea Rat. It was filled with stinky fish guts. Inna took a peek too, then covered her eyes. She was the only pirate kid in the whole world who was afraid of everything gross and dirty. You could tell that from looking at her too. She always wore fancy dresses and stuff. Sink me! We're not really gonna walk across that, are we, Pete? Vicky asked me in surprise. I looked at the skinny plank that lay across the fish tank. It was only the tiniest bit wider than my feet. One slip meant smelling like rotten fish for a month. Aye, we have to, I said. Rotten Tooth is never going to teach us any real pirate stuff, not unless we prove that we're brave enough. Rotten Tooth was supposed to be our teacher here at pirate school, but so far we hadn't learned a thing. Pete's right, Aaron said, his dark eyes flashing. As Vicky's twin brother, he never missed a chance to disagree with her. Vicky and Aaron look just alike, except Aaron's brown hair is shorter than Vicky's. We've been here at pirate school for 2 whole months, and all Rotten Tooth has taught us is how to swab the deck. Rotten Tooth is the first mate of our ship. Captain Stinkybeard made him our teacher on the first day of pirate school. He said that the best pirate would make the best teacher. Rotten Tooth didn't like that one bit. He didn't like the whole idea of pirate school. It was the captain's idea to invite us here and start the school. Trainin' mangy kids is a waste of me time, Rotten Tooth told us when the captain wasn't around. Ye ain't fit for piratin', so I'll be teaching you cleanin' instead. We all wanted to tell the captain, but we knew if we did, Rotten Tooth would turn us into shark bait in the blink of an eye. So none of us were any closer to being real pirates than we were the day we got there. And pirate school was the only reason we left our old ships to join up on the Sea Rat. Did our captain send us here to be deckhands or pirates? I asked my friends. Aye, pirates. But how is crossing that stinky pit going to change Rotten Tooth's mind? Vicky asked. Yeah, how? Gary wondered. Gary was the youngest kid at pirate school. Even though he was only 9, his parents thought he was ready to become a pirate, so they sent him to live on the Sea Rat just like the rest of our parents did. Because it's an old pirate test, I replied. I'd lived on a pirate ship my whole life. All 10 years. Well, 9 3/4 to be exact. That's longer than anyone else. So I knew lots of pirate stuff that they didn't. If someone wanted to become a pirate, first they had to walk across this plank, I explained. Aye? Inna asked, peeking back into the tank and making a face. Aye, I said. It proves that you can keep your balance. Plus, anyone brave enough to risk smelling like that stuff is brave enough to face any danger on the sea. I pointed to the fish guts down below. I guess it's worth a try, Vicky finally agreed. Aye, I said. We'll show Rotten Tooth that we're ready for pirating. I stared at the slimy plank. It looked very slippery. Stop being such a scallywag and go already, Aaron shouted. Scallywag was pirate speak for calling me a scaredy cat. But I was no scallywag. I was a pirate. One day I might even be the captain of my very own ship, Captain Pete, the pirate. Just then a wave shook the sea rat. Inna gulped. Maybe we should wait until the sea is steady, I said. Gangway, scallywags, I'll go first, Aaron said. You're gonna get a face full of fish stink, Vicky warned. Arr, I can do it easy, Aaron told her. In fact, I could do it blindfolded, he added. Could not, Vicky shouted. Could too, Aaron shouted back. Prove it then, Vicky said. Fine, I will, he said. I shook my head. Aaron was always showing off. Aaron marched over to the tank and climbed up the side. Inna, can I borrow your bandana to use as a blindfold? He asked. No way, Inna shouted. Then she covered it with both hands. I'm not letting you get fish guts on my pretty bandana. I won't, I promise, Aaron begged. You absolutely promise? She asked. Vicky grabbed the blindfold out of Inna's hands before Aaron had a chance to answer. Enough stalling, Vicky said, handing the bandana to her brother. Aaron tied the blindfold over his eyes. Oh, this looks like a bad idea, Gary said. Blimey, you think everything's a bad idea, Vicky snapped. Not everything, he said. Just the ideas that can get us into trouble. We won't get in trouble because I'm not going to fall, Aaron shouted as he got ready to take his first step. Be careful, I warned. The first step is the slipperiest. Sure enough, Aaron slipped as soon as he stepped on the board. Inna covered her eyes. She didn't want to see her bandana ruined. But Aaron waved his arms around and caught his balance. See? Just then a big hand came down on Aaron's shoulder. Uh-oh, I mumbled. It was Rotten Tooth. Rotten Tooth was the meanest, ugliest-looking pirate on the ship. His hair was green and looked like seaweed. His beard was parted in the middle and pointed out like two furry tusks. And then there were his teeth. Ugh, they were just as green as his hair and sharper than a shark's. Arr! Rotten Tooth growled. Aaron was so startled he lost his balance. His feet slipped out from under him and he slid right into Rotten Tooth. Crash! They fell into the tank in 1 stinky second. Oh, we're in really big, serious trouble now, Gary said. When Rotten Tooth poked his head up, I thought I could see steam coming out of his ears. He lifted Aaron up in the air and put him on the deck. Aaron was dripping with gross, yucky gook. We all held our noses. Then Rotten Tooth climbed out. He smelled even more rotten than usual. We're sorry, I mumbled. It was a test to show you that we're ready to be pirates. Aye! And you all failed! Rotten Tooth shouted. We didn't mean to cause any trouble, Inna whispered. Quiet! Rotten Tooth roared. One more word and I'll toss you all overboard. But enough from you pollywogs for today. He wiped the muck off his face, then he told us to follow him. Or I'm putting you somewhere where the punishment will fit the crime. As he led us below deck, we ran into Captain Stinkybeard. Ahoy! Taking the little shipmates below deck for a lesson? He asked Rotten Tooth. Aye, I'm gonna teach 'em a lesson, all right, he said. I had a terrible sinking feeling in my stomach, and it wasn't just because of the stink coming from Aaron as he walked in front of me. Chapter 2. Here a mess, there a mess. Scrub, 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 Aaron mumbled as he knelt on the kitchen floor. This stinks. I think it's you that stinks, Vicky said, holding her nose with one hand and scrubbing the floor with her other. Aaron made a face at her. Then he sniffed. He really did stink. I could have made it, he said, if Rotten Tooth hadn't showed up and startled me, I mean. Enna poked her head out from behind the stack of messy dishes that she was washing. She gave Aaron a dirty look. She still hadn't forgiven him about her bandana, or for getting us put on the filthiest job on the ship. Kitchen duty. "Look at the mess you got us in," Vicky said to her brother. "We'll be washing dishes for the rest of the day." "Arr, don't blame me," Aaron shouted. "It was Pete's silly test that got us into this mess." I put my head down. "I was just trying to prove to Rotten Tooth that we were ready to learn real pirate stuff," I said. Boy, did that backfire. "Aye, you can say that again," Aaron sneered with a face full of soap bubbles. "This is going to take forever to clean up." Vicky held her nose again and looked at Aaron. "You're going to take forever to clean up." I looked around. Aaron was right. The kitchen and dining area were a disaster. There were piles of dirty dishes stacked up everywhere. Some of the piles were taller than me. Plus there was slop spilled all over the floor and against the walls. Pirates are not known for their table manners. "I really sunk our ship, huh?" I asked my friends. "Rotten Tooth will never teach us now. We'd be better off back on our old ships." "Not true, matey," Gary said. "On my old ship, I'd be cleaning this kitchen all by myself." "Aye," Vicky said. "On our last ship, Aaron caused so much trouble, the captain was ready to make fish food of us. The day before we shipped out, Aaron ripped the sail in half." "Aye?" I asked. "Aye," Aaron answered with a little smile. Enna looked up from the grimy food gunk in the sink and nodded her head. "And besides, Pete, you were only trying to help," she said. "I guess Rotten Breath never really heard of that test. I'm sure you'll come up with another plan. A better plan." "Really? You think so?" I asked. "Aye," all of my friends answered. I felt a little better already. I knew I could think of something. After all, we were the brightest pirate kids on the sea. Captain Stinkybeard said so himself the day we got here. "There's gotta be a way to show Rotten Tooth that we would make tip-top pirates," I said. "But how?" Vicky asked. Suddenly, Gary raised his hands up in the air. "I know," he shouted. "We could hypnotize Rotten Tooth." I scratched my head and thought about it. But how do you hypnotize someone?" I asked. "Easy," Gary said. Then he turned to Enna. "Can I borrow your necklace?" Enna's necklace was silvery and shiny. I could even see my reflection in it. "Nobody's borrowing anything of mine ever again." She covered up her necklace with both of her hands. "Fine," Gary said. "I'll just pretend then." He mimicked holding the shiny necklace in front of his eyes and let it sway back and forth. "That doesn't do anything," Aaron said doubtfully. "Does too," Gary said. "On the last ship I was on, they had a book of old pirate tales. One of them was about a captain that got hypnotized." "Hogwash," Aaron said. "If it's in a book, it's got to be true," Vicky said. "Aye," agreed Gary. "After he got hypnotized, the captain's eyes went all crossed, and he stumbled around like this." As Gary showed us, he stumbled right into a stack of dishes. Luckily, I was there to catch the dishes before they fell. "Maybe we need a different plan," I said. "We could lock him up in a room with Aaron until the stink drives him crazy," Vicky said. We all laughed. Aaron picked up a mop and held it like a sword. "If there was only some way we could get old Rotten-Face to bring us ashore when we got to Snake Island," he said. "Then we'd show him what we could do." Aaron began jumping around the room. He swung the mop, pretending to fight off the giant snake that was rumored to live on Snake Island. Legend had it that the giant snake was guarding a treasure, and Captain Stinkybeard just happened to have a map that led to the snake's secret cave. "I would do anything to be able to help find that treasure," Aaron said. "Find the treasure? "Avast! That's it!" I shouted, and threw my arms up in the air. I would have danced around, too, except, well, that's not very piratey. "What's it?" Aaron asked. "We find the treasure first. That's it," I said. "If we find it before the rest of the crew, then it would prove that we're good pirates. It won't be easy, but it could work. As long as we work as a team," I told them. "So is everyone on board?" Aaron put the mop to his side and saluted. "Aye, aye." "Aye, that's good thinking, Pete," Vicky said. "Aye, but will it be dangerous?" Gary asked. I shrugged. "We won't know until we try. Besides, pirates are supposed to be brave," I reminded Gary. "Well, I guess I'm in," he said. We all turned to Inna. "Can I cover my eyes if we see any snakes?" Inna asked. Then she made a face like she was seasick. "Snakes are even ickier than fish guts." "You can cover your eyes if you want to," I told her, and finally she agreed to come along. I smiled real wide. Everything was coming together. "One question," Vicky asked. "How are we ever going to pull this off?" "Leave that to me," I said. "I'll come up with something." And as we all went back to our chores, I tried to think up a plan. Chapter 3. Top Sneaky Mission. The next morning we were all up early. We raced up to the main deck to report for school. "Maybe Rottenhead won't be mad anymore," Aaron said. But as soon as I saw Rotten Tooth's face, I knew we were still on his bad side. There was one good thing. Captain Stinkybeard was with him. Rotten Tooth never yelled at us too much when the captain was around. "Fall in!" he roared, and we all formed a straight line. He paced back and forth. I had to hold my breath every time he passed. He still hadn't taken a bath. In fact, I don't think he'd ever taken a bath. "Listen up, you sea dogs," he growled. "I got a mighty smart lesson for you today." I started to smile. Maybe we were finally going to learn something. "Are we going to swashbuckle?" Aaron asked excitedly. "Aye," Rotten Tooth said, and we all cheered. "Ho ho! Such fine little buckos," Captain Stinkybeard said. "Always wanting to learn." Then he wished us luck and went off. "I can't believe it," I said. "We're really going to learn how to swashbuckle." "Aye," Rotten Tooth said again. Then he reached behind him and grabbed 5 mops. "And here be ye swords." Our hearts sank. We weren't going to be learning anything after all. "I want this deck spotless," Rotten Tooth said. "I don't want to be seeing a speck of dirt, you savvy." "Maybe he should get off of it then," Aaron whispered in my ear. But Rotten Tooth had better hearing than a whale. He turned to Aaron and he showed his famously green teeth. "One more peep out of you," he warned, "and it's back in the fish tank." Aaron quickly closed his mouth. "Aye, that's what I thought," Rotten Tooth said. "Now get to work, you barnacles," he snapped as he walked away. Vicky groaned. "Pirate school? It's more like chore school." Aye, everyone agreed. I didn't complain, though. Cleaning the deck was the best chore Rotten Tooth could have given us in order for my plan to work. "Ahoy, guys, listen up!" I gathered my friends into a huddle. Whoops. I thought I had turned the sound off on that. Sorry, guys. Do that right now. There we go. "I came up with a plan last night." "I hope this one doesn't stink," Aaron said. I shot Aaron a look. "No, this is a good plan. Captain Stinkybeard keeps all the treasure maps in his quarters, right?" "Right," Vicky said. "And his quarters are in the main cabin, which is over there," I said, pointing to the cabin door behind us. "So?" Aaron said. "So we sneak in and make a copy of the map," I said. "Aye, good thinking," Gary said. "Aaron and Vicky, you stay outside and keep watch. If Rotten Tooth comes back, distract him." Ah, he'll take care of old rotten head, Aaron said, pretending his mop was a sword.
Gary, you wait outside Captain Stinkybeard's room in case anyone gets past Aaron and Vicky, I said. Aye, aye, Pete. Inna, you'll come inside with me, I said. You have the neatest handwriting, and the map might have a lot of words to copy.
Then we all put our hands together in the circle and gave a pirate cheer.
Swashbuckling, sailing, finding treasure too. Becoming pirates is what we want to do.
And that is where we be endin' for today, ye lubbers. So be sure to join us tomorrow at 2 p.m. as we continue the adventures of Pete and the gang on the Sea Rat in The Curse of Snake Island. Arr, 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 arr. Don't be forgetting that the libraries are now open to the public as well, but you can still get curbside service if you desire it. And be sure to check out our other live programs: Toddler Time with Miss Becky, Stories with Sonny, and Creating with Constance. Now, say goodbye, Polly.
What? Goodbye, Polly.
Toodaloo.